Hello everyone, welcome to my play shop, Responding to Tantrums with Heart. That's the most important thing that we're going to look at today, and it's something that I'm kind of bringing out into the light to get away from the darkness that's really shrouded around the word tantrum, the word meltdown, even my whinging child, all of those different things that we can start to get bogged down with as a mother. Today, we're going to shine the light and we're going to have a look at it in an empowered way of how we can change what we're doing as a mother to really have a huge effect for our children. So we're going to go on an adventure today and look at where we've come from as far as parenting in the more closed, fear-based systems from way back, 70s, 80s, and beyond, but when we were brought up as children. And so that's going to give us an idea of where we're at as a mother and what we're doing right now and what we need to change to become a more conscious parent, which I know you're all here for, and to respond more with love and with heart rather than the fear and the yucky energy that I know everyone who's here particularly can sense. They don't like their irritation at their child, their impatience, their frustration, even the dark side of anger and rage. And I can say today, my ego doesn't want me to say it because it wants to keep it swept under the rug, but I have been there myself as a mother. I've done it all, yelled, ranted, lectured, grabbed, even done the smack. It's not been a nice place because then I've turned around and cried tears and felt the guilt and the shame and all of that and the confusion of what's going on? I'm going to do differently next time. But they hit that button, and I call it the purge button on our mother wounds, and then boom, it all comes back out again almost uncontrollably. And so there's a little paradox there that we're not quite able to control ourselves as mothers, yet we want to control our children. So let's go and have a little look and see with the light at what we've got today. So I'm just going to bring up my mother-child healing approach, my diagram. Sorry, I'm just trying to share the screen. Here we go. Hopefully you can see that. So I've got my my healing and thriving diamond, and that can show you where we're at today. So today we are actually going to look at pretty much all 4 points of this diamond for mother and for child. So it's a huge topic, and that's why so many mums just don't get to the bottom of it. So many professionals out there don't quite get to the bottom of it because they're not seeing the whole picture. So for today, we're mostly going to focus on emotions, which is a great topic because it does go into a bit of the dark work. And we're also going to look at relationships because obviously we've got mother and child, and then child with whoever else is playing out in their life as well, and even touch a bit on food and toxins too. So we're going to do that to get a good picture of where we're at, and then I'm going to go through some things for us to consider as mothers and how we can help our children with heart when they're having tantrums. And really, we want to reduce the tantrums. That's the main thing. All the whining, that the meltdowns, all that, funny vibe, I guess you can say. You just know it, and that's why we don't like it, because ultimately our higher self is saying, I don't want this anymore. I want change. I want to have the love around me when, with my children as well. So a little bit about me. I have created this mother-child healing approach because I saw that there was so much of a link between mother and child, especially with these sensitive new children that are coming through, that you cannot change your child without changing yourself. You can only keep scraping at the surface and trying to help your child without turning and looking at yourself. And so I want to flip the old way of looking at what's wrong with the child's the problem, and actually say, what if we looked at ourselves first? How much could we change in our child just by changing ourselves and clearing out all the weeds and really raising our vibrations and seeing how much of that gets mirrored in our child before we actually have to do much work on our children instead? And so that's where I've come from. I say that I am a voice for the new children. I'm not the only one, but it's because I have always been able to see things from the child's point of view. And, heartbreakingly, because it's not fun to see all the pain and whatnot and the misunderstandings that they've gone through as a child, But it helped me as a speech pathologist in my work to really be able to bridge that for the child and the parent, particularly the mums, as to what was going on and really explaining that and highlighting it. But then I became a mother myself of 2 sensitive new age children. And that's when I had to face it for myself, being in the other role as the mother and being shocked at what was going on with when they were pushed to their tantrum level and I was really being pushed too. And so it's taken me a lot of diving in deep, facing my ego self, which is the lid that really tries to keep all of our emotional past clamped down. It's all still in our body, in our physical cells there. And so that keeps everything hidden. And when we finally start to lift the lid a little bit, allow a little bit out, allow a little bit out, that's when we start to get the light coming towards us. So when we see and clear the darkness, then the light can come in and we can be an amazing mother. And not that I'm saying that no one is right now, but we can really, I know what mothers are aiming for is that feeling of, wow, I've got this, I'm empowered, I can hold space, I've got love. That's what we do. So once we've gotten rid of the darkness ourselves, we can really hold space for our children so much better than being full up ourselves and then trying to deal with, more emotions with our child too, particularly when we're all sensitive mums. So we feel that stuff. Whether we like it or not, sometimes I've found it easier to close my heart to it because it's not fun, especially when I have to deal with other people's children. I really do find myself shutting down. So for some of you, you might actually feel a bit numb to it. And potentially that's because it's really hard work to go there and see, what my child has been through. So that is my vision, is to help more mums to feel safe to go there and see that there's light in the darkness. So it's not this big bad thing to go and look in the dark and, oh, wow, it's just going to be terrible. It's actually, if I go there myself, and as I say, clear those disgusting emotions away. And I shouldn't say disgusting because obviously the more we put all those big yucky fear-based terms on them, the worse it actually becomes for ourselves, as opposed to let's just see, eventually I want us to be able to say, I'm going to do my dark work. And all of a sudden we just go, oh yeah, I'm pretty neutral about that. I don't have a big fear-based attachment to it. I'm just going to do it because I know the light will come in. That'll be great. So that's where I've come from. I've kind of pegged the two together and now I help mothers in lots of different ways, but this is a huge thing that comes up, is to how do I deal with my child when they're shining lights at me of all this stress that they're going through, but I'm feeling my stress rise too. What's happening and how do I deal with it? And how do I deal with it step by step? Because it's easy to give, just go and do this. But really for every person in every single scenario with different children and different mums, there's a different thing that we need to look at in each scenario. So that's where I go into more detail. And this dark work that I'm talking about, and really looking at our ego self, the one that's holding us back and sabotaging us and trying to keep all that crap in, that's what I go into in a lot of depth in my New Children Healing Sanctuary, as to how can we do our light and our dark work and really get honest and clear as a mother and really come back to love and really start to see where all the fear stuff has come in since we've been younger. So that's a big spiel as to where things are at. But let's take a little quick look back at the old way. So back when, 70s, 80s, we were brought up with a lot of fear-based strategies, conditioning put on us. So as parents back then, they were told the child needs to be obeying, they need to behave, they need to fit in with society's norms. And if they do not, that's a reflection on you as a parent. And so there was that fear that, wow, if my child acts up, I'm going to have all these eyes on me as a mother. I'm just going to take this off the share now. As a mother, and to say, oh, wow, I'm not doing a good enough job. And that really hits on a whole lot of buttons for us, because unfortunately, ever since we've been born, that's the thing that comes down onto us in so many different ways. You are not good enough. You are not good enough. And we've all got different stories of that lying within us. So that's how things went along, that, oh, wow, I've got to really step up as a parent here, and I've really got to prove myself, and I've got to really show my children they better do the right thing. But as soon as we start talking all that, there's this fear energy. It's really yuck. It doesn't feel good, and it certainly doesn't connect us with our children. And so hence us as children have grown up with, you know, some connections fully severed from our parents. And even though we might say, oh, I love my parents, they've done amazing things, there will still be things that unknowingly, subconsciously, you know, they've put onto us and we've taken that away. Whether it was you go to your room and, you know, cried out by yourself, you know, go into timeout. Even that is enough for whoops, there's a disconnect between parent and mother and child. And so that's what I'm trying to move forward now, is to go, let's look at the new way. And most of the mums that are coming towards me go, I want to be a more awakened, conscious parent. I want to bring the love. I can see the benefit and it feels good. How do I get there? And so that's when we look at, okay, we need to go erase all the old way and really flip it around, just to start to see what is actually going on. And so from there, I say to mothers, guess what? The reason we're all confused and up in arms about our children having tantrums, we've never been taught emotional intelligence around this ourselves. And so hence we don't know how to deal with it. But we're expecting our children to be able to deal with it, with their emotions and whatnot. But in essence, we're actually dealing with our own stuff and trying to work that out. And hence we've got this real chaos. And the more the children are coming through sensitive, they pick up on our stress, they pick up on everything, and they just throw it at us. So they're basically shining that mirror at us to go, you're stressed, I'm stressed, and I'm going to make it look so bad that you have to look at this. And that's what's going on, is that more children with all their tantrums are saying, look at this, look at this. This is an opportunity for you as the mother to stand up and go, okay, right, what am I going to do? How do I work through this and get back to love so I can connect back with my child? And when we connect back to love with our child, all of a sudden we can see their health goes better, their happiness goes through the roof, their confidence, their self-esteem, everything grows to the point where we don't have to worry about behavioral problems and them obeying us and all of this fear-based stuff. They actually respect us and they're on our page. It's like I say, a Pied Piper. As long as you can play your tune and you can keep them there, they're going to come along with you. That's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a battle of you need to do what I say, and if you don't, I'm stuck. I'm going to have to threaten, punish, consequences, rant, get over there, time out, sit on your chair, all of that stuff that I can see and sense that all the mothers do not want to keep doing. So let's say stop and let's keep moving on to see what we can do as far as ourselves first. Okay, taking a breath because I've just had a lot to say there. All right, so firstly, this is why we're having a break, is I want us to come in and start to really find ourselves picturing our child in their highest regard, and you can pick just the one child that is really tricky in your family, or you can picture your children together and really hold them together in your heart. So with heart coherence, which I do quite a lot if you've been following me or, you know, come into the sanctuary, is to pop 2 fingers on your heart space. I can't really show you right now, but once you've done that, it's calling to yourself to say, come into my heart space, get out of my head, get out of anywhere else that's not feeling great right now. It might be your solar plexus, your tummy area that goes, oh, I feel disgusting, you know, thinking about all of this. Come into your heart. This is where love is, and this is where we need to start. So I encourage you to close your eyes and take a moment now to start to breathe in and breathe out. And just really relax and drop into that space. You can breathe in and exhale. And you can give a really big sigh because we hold on to too many. That's it. And let it all out. And start to come into that space. And now call in your children or your child and start to really feel into what you are grateful for about them. What is so magical about them? Really start to find those things that, even if it's one thing, you want the energy. It's not so much about the example, it's the energy. Feel that energy in your heart with your child and feel it. Feel the gratitude, feel the love, feel the warmth in your heart, and feel it until you should be able to get your smile starting. You get little corners of your lips start to crack upwards because it feels so nice. And that's what we need to do more of, is to sit in with our children in their highest regard particularly when they have had tantrums or things that have triggered us. And allow that beautiful warm feeling, it might be white or golden light you can picture in your heart, just to really expand outwards to the front and outwards to the back, and even out sideways through your rib cage. And allow it even to expand right out to the 8 corners of the room. Really fill it. So bit by bit, just keep expanding it and allowing it, and keep coming back to those beautiful examples of gratitude that you have for your child. It might be the smallest thing they do. It might be something quite amazing that you do forget to acknowledge sometimes. Come into that space. And so once we've come to this space with love and with heart with our child, then we're better able to see what's actually going on. When we're up in our head, it's our monkey mind, our ego self, that's trying to give us excuses, justifications, blame, pointing fingers, all of that stuff around what's going on. And it really doesn't want us to look at our own shit. So it really wants to keep pointing outwards at whose fault is this, what's going wrong with everyone else. So now that we've got that beautiful space with our child, we're going to start to feel into a little bit more now about the mother-child bond that we have. And this is really important. It's so important. We do not get, taught this or, any information, particularly as we start to think about becoming a mum, being pregnant, giving birth, newborn. No one says, hey, you have a really sacred role here, and it's your time to step up as an empowered mum, not to sit back as a mum in fear and allow your child to take on that fear. And then, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, however long it is, it might not even make it to 1 year, your child is projecting the stress back to you. And so I really want you to start to feel into my no guilt oath. I did the best with what I could at the time. Let's think into that. I did the best with what I could do at the time, with what I knew. But now I know better. I can do and make better changes. And that's what I'm asking of you here from this play shop, is to start to feel into that empowered energy, not the victim, oh, poor me, and I've done so bad, and oh, I feel guilty and whatnot. But actually to go, yeah, I can do something here. I need to for my children. They're sitting here waiting for me to start to make these changes. Okay, so firstly, let's consider what's going on. When you have to deal with this tantrum, we've got child going, I've had some disappointment. I've had frustration. I've had too many party foods. I can't deal with my big emotions. And so when we come in with fear or our big emotions, we're basically shining that light back to them. Yeah, freak out. When you're in that mode of big, dark emotions coming at you, it's something to be worried about. Start to freak out and keep that fear energy. And so when you're keeping that fear energy going in front of them, that's when it perpetuates it. And they go, okay, whoa, I've got to freak out here. And I do recommend following Dr. Dan Siegel. You can follow him on Facebook. You can buy his books, The Whole Brain Child. He's got plenty of other books, but he talks about flipping the lid. So when a child has started, this is the thinking brain. I'll just go really quickly. The brain that it can control what's going on. And this is their primitive brain, which is more about reflexes and fight and flight. So when a child has gone too far into fear mode, boom, they flip their lid. So he basically says they lose connection with the brain that can control itself, and then it only has this primitive brain to go from, and that's when you get fight and flight. And so what I'm putting forth is, if we leave our child in fight and flight and we're not there for them to connect our heart with them, they're in the darkness. They float away from us. And it doesn't take long. It can be just, oh, no, you need to do this. Oh, no, you shouldn't have. If you keep going, you'll be rah-rah. Anything like that, threats, consequences, and all of that is basically a disconnect from our heart to their heart. And it basically says, I'm only in this for conditional love. When you're good, I'm cool. And when you're not good, I'm out. And so some of that is really hard to think about, to go, oh, yeah, okay. And often we've been brought up with that. And again, it can be painful to go back, and we do a lot of this dark work and actually going back and releasing it in my New Children Healing Sanctuary. But today we just want to start looking at why we're doing this and actually becoming more empowered about it. So once we start to go, oh, okay, I need to keep my heart connection with my child at all times when they've gone into that tantrum mode, meltdown mode, even the whinging, it's a sign I need you to be here and hold this space for me. And that's what we're essentially doing when we keep that heart connection going. We're holding space. So picture it like, we're projecting this beautiful white light out as far as it needs to go to capture our child, and that's their net, so that they can feel that loving energy and they know things are not so bad. Even if it's only subconsciously, even if they lost control or whatever, they still get that feeling. And that's how we can bring them along. Okay, so once we've done that, then we start to feel into, okay, well, what's next? And so the biggest thing is we do need to keep that hard connection with our child. But I can hear you saying, what happens when I'm ready to flip my lid? I've got the impatience, irritation, frustration, the whole lot. The anger is just like that blood boiling point, and you can feel the energy of waves coming up. That's when we also need to go, I need to learn emotional intelligence for myself. What do I do? And so the main part is that we do not release our emotions onto someone else or something else. And we end up teaching this to our children. So once you've learned it, you can easily turn around and start to teach this to your child. So we need to understand, okay, I'm going to have stuff come up. You cannot fake yourself out of it. You can put on the bravest face. You can go, this is so important that I'm an empowered mum. I'm going to be a conscious, loving mum. But you can't hide it ever until you start to realize the mums that are painting the smile on and getting all through it, those emotions are sitting stagnant and toxic inside themselves, which ends up leading to lower vibrations. And wherever you hold it in your body, it attracts the bugs, the pathogens, parasites, viruses, all of that, candida. But it also then weakens our cells, which leaves them open to diseases and cancer. So that's no way to go. You do not want to hold it in. But you also do not want to put it onto your child, because it creates shame. It keeps the fear cycle going, and then it affects their personality moving forth in so many ways. And the more you do this for yourself and start to clear out all the weeds for yourself, and you start to realize, wow, I've had a lot of stuff put on me, every single day of my life, in some way, fear. I'm not saying that we're all traumatized every day, but it doesn't take much for someone to give us a bit of judgment or someone to do a bit of look. And sometimes we've actually been subconsciously taking on the judgment and everything from everyone too. So we're not so aware of it until we start to bring it up. We start to realize, okay, wow, I'm doing a huge thing here by not putting my shit onto my child. And guess what? It leaves one way. You need to release it, but not to your children and not onto things. Obviously, taking it out in a wall, no good, because then our children see that model, monkey see, monkey do. So I can read you your rights. You can scream it out. You can go and do some boxing. You can go and do exercise, but you can cry it out. Do whatever it takes. And sometimes the more we try and hold space for our children, which is great, and that's where you want to go, is to hold the heart, space as long as you can for your child. And eventually you might even get through the whole day and go, wow, I've done such a good job, but I'm up to here with emotion myself. And that's the perfect time. Just go and release it. Had a big day, take a lot of emotional stress. I've held a lot of space for someone. That takes energy, and it also still rises all that stuff. So they're still hitting the purge button. It's just that you can then go and release it gracefully at a different point. So that's quite a lot to take on, but the main thing is that we start to realize, me first, mother first, I really need to look at emotional intelligence for myself. I really need to clear and release my stuff. And there's a whole lot of different things going on and might be coming up for you, which obviously, you might need help with, or you might be able to journal it out, go to a healer. You can do lots of different things to work out what's actually going on for me. But the biggest fact to think about is you do not need to understand it so much. If there's emotion there, clear it. If you can go, whoa, I've got anger here, I'm just going to, go first and shake it out. That's what the emotion wants. It wants to just be seen and heard, and then it can go quickly as that. And guaranteed, after you've had a big release, you get the light coming in. You feel clear, you feel calm, you feel the love back to your child, you feel so good about yourself. It is so worth it to start to reconsider and repattern your brain in how we, liaise with our children, especially in these times. And it's not a perfect road. You will get sucked in, I guarantee it. But the more you can be aware of what's going on, and the more you can put space between, okay, yeah, my child's really going off now, and I'm going to breathe it out and let some of that stuff go before I go in and see them, or I'm going to go in and see them and then I'm going to come back out and just release some stuff again. The more you start to get empowered and start to go, I've got this, I'm cool, I can do this. And you really grow as a mother to go, wow, look at me, I can actually properly hold space. And that's truly growing emotional intelligence. So that's what I want you to consider, is to start doing that for yourself. And then you can start to actually look at, okay, next thing is my child. And it is too big a scope to go through all the ins and outs. So again, I invite you, I do one-on-one sessions with mothers, and we make it clear. We go through it very clearly, step by step, what's going on for the child, what's going on for you, what's going on around further, into school. Is it with your partner, siblings? And we start to go, who's right, who's wrong, whose ego's doing what? Where's the truth? Where's the love? What can you do as a mother? You can't solve everything, but how can you keep holding space for your child? That is one thing you can do. And how can you teach your child emotional intelligence, even when anyone else is bringing you down and saying, no, that's not the way, because you know the truth and you know the light and the love is there. And so it's really up to you to take that responsibility to go out and do that. So those sessions, you walk away going, okay, I clearly know what's going on, in these scenarios. I know what my stuff is that's there. I know what I need to do to release it and how I'm going to release it. I also know how to respond to my child in that, and how to respond to siblings, my partners as well. So you've got a very clear plan to go forth and work at it. It's not going to be the first time it will be perfect, as I've said, but you can keep going. So do sign up. There's a link down below if you would like to. I encourage you. It is worth it. It can be cleared, and you can move forward in such a way that you just go, wow, I'm doing this, and look at my child. And wow, look, compared to the other children, they really do have emotional intelligence. And that is amazing, because those children can then go out, your children, and then show the other children how it can be done too, which is very cool as far as a ripple effect. So thinking about the wider collective conscious of our children going forth, the more you do, you're helping not only yourself and your family and your child, but there's such a ripple effect that goes on. So I honour you for doing this work. Okay, so one thing I will say is keep considering in the tantrum meltdown, what emotion is coming up for myself, what emotion is coming up for my child, and what are they trying to break me free from? So, for example, the child that starts to have a tantrum because they want to wear purple socks and no jumper on a freezing cold day, and you're saying, nope, you can't, and they have their meltdown. What are they trying to teach you? And you can consider it. You might go through the whole day and just go, okay, what is it? But each time you consider it, because your child's bringing this up as an opportunity for you to do some clearing too in moving forth, to go, was I being too controlling? Was I not letting them have their experience? Was I more worried about what society would think? All of this stuff is fear-based stuff. Our children actually know stuff, and they're actually very wise, and they're putting their foot down because they're trying to say to you, no, you've got to drop that stuff. Something really big to consider. And so each meltdown that happens, there is something for us to change as a mother as well, guaranteed. It might not feel comfortable, and your ego self will try to point the finger, blame, make excuses. So when you can start to listen to it and listen to your higher self saying, hang on, but wait, That's when we start to move to love. So our higher self, it comes in love. Our ego self is sitting in there in fear, and that's the dark shit. So once we can release that, we can start to just go, you know what, cool, go for it. I think it's great. Just check it out and see, you know, how you go in that cold weather. They could even prove you wrong and be fine in the cold weather. So that's when you start to go, okay, I don't know everything, and my child is my teacher too. So this is an opportunity also that your child is gifting to you to really increase your intuition. So by that, I say to start to really feel into yourself, what's going on for me, and what is my child trying to teach me? What do I really not want to go there about? But when you purge it, you bring in that clarity and the intuition. But also the biggest thing is to start to feel into what was going on for my child just before they had that tantrum. Most people will go, I don't know. They just, you know, they had it. And that's the first part. But eventually they'll start to go, oh, yeah, if I had an answer, this was going on. If I had an answer, yeah, okay, that. And that's what you need to go forth with. You've got the answers. You don't need necessarily to go out and seek them from others. And I find this interesting because I've had other healers say to me, you don't need to go and see anyone. But I did. And I got to points where I knew I need help with this. And they're actually healers / teachers because they taught me things. And so then I could, you know, literally come along, piece these bits together and come out and, you know, be teaching a wider scale. So do not feel bad if you need to get help. But your child is giving you the opportunity to consider for yourself and to feel into your child with your heart energy what's going on for them. What's been happening lately that's really making them more reactive? And that takes me on to the other factors. So what could be going on for our child that's actually making it harder for them to be in their body and to be calm and in their higher self, being their best potential? Food is a big one. You know, children on dairy, sugar, food additives, but other foods as well, any food sensitivities. It's bad. Like, it's like giving a child an alcoholic night and letting them have a hangover the next day and expecting they can hold it together. As adults, we might be able to hold it together better with a hangover. But as most of you, if you've had one, you'll go, or even, you know, post throwing up with the gastro, you can't be your best self. You're not the same person. So then you have to start to realize, what are we expecting of our child when we give them, you know, sugary, or, you know, they go to foods, go to a party, or even those foods that you kind of know need to go. Stop sweeping it under the rug. Don't, because then you're setting that up for meltdowns, and then you're setting yourself up for, okay, here we go. And sometimes, though, you can look back and go, wow, those meltdowns had to happen because of X, Y, Z, that, you know, the foods say that we gave them, and they were purging me, which is my path. My first son, he was eating a pile of foods that we didn't know weren't great for him. He was having the mega meltdowns, and it purged a lot of stuff from me. But I look back and go, that was my path. And so that's how I've worked through my guilt, is to see, by doing that and going through it, got so bad, we had to look at what was going on. And so then we really made a shift. And so that's what I'm saying, is that don't go forth sweeping the shit under the rug. Actually go, I need to do something, and take a step, even just a little tiny step forward. So that's one thing. The other thing is just to consider, be in your child's body. What is it feeling like for them? Have they been sick a lot lately? Are they getting stressed by something? Do they feel irritated for X, Y, Z reasons? That stuff, again, as a child, when they don't have the resources to be able to handle it as well as we do as an adult, and I'm not saying that all adults deal with it very well necessarily anyway, we can't expect them to, you know, sail through the day and actually be cool. And them having their tantrum is their way of just saying to you, I'm done. I'm struggling in this physical body today. Please, can you help me? And that's, again, where we need to come back to, not so much what's going on for me. Yes, you can do that at the time, or you can do it later and clear your emotions, but keep remembering to hold that heart space for them to go, wow, I see you. You know, that's been really hard, or that's felt really irritating. Hey, you got really frustrated when, all of that. And that's really where we start to work at, is to identify the emotion for us, ourselves, but also for our children, and working from there, not straight in with the punishment. I don't even want to know what's going on. I can't handle this myself. Just get out. So encouraging you all to please come back to that love space. and trusting how big this is. I cannot stress that the more every mother and child lets a bit of their fear go, bit more, bit more, bit more, it has ripple effects. Our high vibe rubs off on others and it cancels out lower vibes. So by us walking around, we are actually, you know, really cancelling out a pile of low vibe that if it wasn't there, it, you know, you can hardly imagine what the earth would be like. So the more you're doing your work in letting that stuff go and really holding space for your child too as well, A, you both reap the benefits, but C, you're doing it for the wider good as well. Bonus, bonus, bonus. So last bit is about my new child types. So hopefully you've already seen and taken the quiz what your child's new child type is. I've got the link below this clip so you can actually go down and do it if you need to after this. And also take it for yourself, because it's really important to see, particularly thinking back to your inner child, what were you like as a child before crap came down, but really seeing who are you and what energies are you bringing in as a mother and for your child. This is where I am finding mothers and children do clash too. And it's just a great thing to understand that if you've got the same new child type as your child, or you might carry one similar energy. So you might both carry the heart energy, you might both carry the star energy or the earth energy. And if your child is triggering you and they have that same energy, that's telling you something. That's telling you that you were shut down for that when you were younger, whatever that energy was. And so when they come along and shine that energy at you, it raises the beast because it's starting to awaken all that anger that I pushed down unknowingly at the time when I was XYZ age. Then it's starting to come back up again. So we can actually, again, hold that space for our child to go, okay, thank you. You're actually helping me to see how I can be better, how I can integrate this energy more. And we always need to release the emotional darkness. We always need to get rid of it, and then we can be on their page better. The other thing is that you might have a different energy to your child and they're triggering you too. And that basically means it's time to start considering that new energy. So it might be the child that doesn't care less what people think and they want to go out in outrageous stuff. And so when they go out in their outrageous clothes, it really triggers you. And this is what I say is the star energy. The star energy is the energy, it's from the stars. It's the highest good. They don't need connection with people. They couldn't care less about society norms. They're just being their own self, which is exactly what we need to get back to as a mother, to be your own self and be true to you. So when your child's being true to themselves and going out in their outrageous costume, all of a sudden you come along and go, ooh, I don't know how to deal with this. And that's basically saying to you, look at your star energy, start to embrace it and start to see, okay, I don't love this. And my ego self is going, no, don't go there, don't go there. But what if I did? What if I was the proud mum that took my child out in their outrageous stuff and started to drop the need to be validated by what others think and really get rid of, I've got to look normal and I've got to fit in and all of that. That's what your child's asking you to do. So I know a few mums have been through that example. It's a great one and it's a good test. I've had to go through it myself. Sometimes I'm okay with, like one glove on the hand, but when it's a glove and a helmet and this and that, I start to go, oh. And so it might be step by step that you just start to go, you know what, I'm aware of it, I'm easing into it. And the more you're aware, that's, awakened parenting, that eventually you're calling in that intention anyway, and the universe will support you just to move into it bit by bit by bit, as long as you keep open to it. So that is the end of responding to tantrums with heart. I really hope that this has helped you. Please do come and leave comments, and please do come and join mine and my friend Annalicia's Awakened Parenting - the New Children Facebook group if you haven't joined yet. That's where all the conversations happen about all these types of things. You're in the right spot. We've got more mums in there, and a few dads and carers too that are exactly at your spot of just wanting to do the best for their children and like really do their best. And when we say I really want to do my best, it's basically I want to get rid of that fear stuff. I really want to embrace love parenting more. So any comments, I would really love to hear back from you and what's helped and what's worked. Don't forget, if you do feel overwhelmed, please do sign up for a session. And I'm not saying this, you must to anyone in particular, but if you're feeling the call, don't go and hide under the rug and go, oh, okay, I'll do that another day. Take the step and go and do it. Throw yourself off the cliff and start to see how amazing you can create your family as the amazing mother and woman that you are. We are all being called forth to step up as the mothers and the women in the family, as the beautiful light coming in to hold space for our children and our partners that are coming along too. So don't sink back because other people pull you back. You've got to go forth and actually do amazing things. And also, if you've just heard this right now as it's going live, my New Children Healing Sanctuary is going to start very soon in June 2018. Please go and visit the website. It's down below as well, and you can pop your name down and I'll be in touch so you can start and dive right into this in so much more detail. We look at food, toxins, emotions, relationships for mother and child, not just about tantrums. It's about health. It's about what we've taken on as a mother, and really seeing, if I get rid of that old conditioning, what's going to happen for me as a mother and a soul, and what's going to happen for my child. And then it goes forth. So we go through all the problems that you might have with your child in an empowered way and bringing light and love to that, instead of us handing our power over to the expert who tells us what we need to do. And I'm finding too many mums that are just going, it's just not really helping me to go and see someone else. So empower yourself to do it yourself. You can. And it's a great sanctuary that I'm calling it, as a safe place for you to come and be supported with other mums who are like-minded. Isn't that a better way to do it than suffering along by yourself? We all need to reach out and receive more help from others. So please do come and join if you feel called. Otherwise, bye. I'll see you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and that's how you can keep track of the new play shops and talks that I do on here about lots of different topics around my diamond. And otherwise, I will see you again soon. Bye.